And we are live. Hello and welcome to Developer Insights. I'm David.
And I'm Justin.
Together we are the leads on game development and design here at Codename.
We also founded Codename too.
We're going to be your hosts for this episode and for every episode.
Because as we've stated before, 80 times, when we're not here, the show doesn't happen.
Pretty much, yeah.
Speaking of 80 episodes, today is our 81st episode.
And we have an exciting show for you today because I have just compiled the numbers on how many streams we've missed because of someone being sick or whatnot.
Well, I imagine that's one more than the last time we talked about this.
Remind me, why did I do this again? I think somebody asked on the last episode.
I think that's
And I promised I would have the numbers for them on the next episode, and then you were sick.
And then I was sick, yes.
Yeah.
Somewhat ironically.
Yeah, so I'm going to get into those numbers, but first I'm just going to cover up your face with this before we go, because I don't want them to see your expression while I throw you under the bus. Let's see, we've had 106 Thursdays since we started, of which we have done 80 episodes, not including this one. 12 of them were missed for vacation or illness. 4 for you being sick and 5 for you on vacation, and 2 for me being sick and 1 for being on vacation. So I think you're the leading cause, Justin. We did have 7.
That is libel, sir. I will not stand for that. 7
that were missed for holidays, including 2 each year for Christmas break, and 7 others that included 1 for Extra Life, 1 for a company game jam, 1 because there was an advisory board meeting Eric just couldn't find another day for, and a couple of blackout periods, that sort of thing. So there's that. That's the answer to that question. I did have some other fun facts on here, and that was that we do get about 65 questions per show on average, and we answer around 35, which puts us at about 2,800 out of 52, which I don't think that's not a very good grade, but it is what it is.
Yeah, it's more than 50%.
All right.
Can I have my face back, please?
Sure.
Yeah, wow. That was amazing. Thank you for spending so much time on that. The next time someone asks why a feature got delayed, we'll just point them at this clip.
Right. Okay. Sure. You're welcome.
As always, we are here to answer development and design questions about Idle Champions.
But if you don't ask any questions, you may have to suffer through Justin's one-man reenactment of what he was doing instead of streaming at this time last week.
Yes, it's a very mucus-centric show. I think you'll all really enjoy it.
Really? Really? I don't think anyone's going to enjoy that.
The National Tissue Paper Consortium would probably enjoy that.
I don't know that we have any viewers from the National Tissue Paper Consortium watching the stream.
Oh.
I mean, if they can pipe up if they're in the chat, but I don't put a low odds on that.
Okay.
Anyway, as always, we have pulled forward some questions from the previous show that we did not get to, so we will answer some of those while we are waiting for new questions to come in. But before we get to those, not only do we have some updates on some items that we flagged to get looked at the previous show, but we also have a few updates that we're going to get to in addition to those. So let's stop stalling for time and get to those first, and then we've got the announcements. So let's start with fixes and features. The only item that was in the fix list that was from something that had been brought up on the show was a fix for the legendary level checkbox on the legendary dialogue getting unchecked when you're going in and out of gear. That was fixed, and then I looked at the changelog and there was like 20 other fixes. I think someone got pretty overzealous on that. I think actually someone, Jarrett, at the time got reallocated to that. So we got a lot of fixes in. I'm not going to read that changelog off. You can go take a look at it in game, but there's a lot of items on that's going out. We still have the in-progress list that gets slowly chewed away at or chipped away at, but still includes prioritizing saving feats with formations, the random skin mode, adding tooltips to gear with a max level to indicate your progress towards that max level, a quick return option for mobile to get to Area 1, some additional icons for the quest tracker, specifically for the different types of season quests, recall for familiars, and indication of unread changelogs. Okay, announcements. Justin, do you want to do the first one?
Yeah, we've got two announcements today. One that led to the episode name in the weekly code.
Yep.
And the other, which is much more fun. So I guess this is the first place we're announcing this, and there'll be a blog and something after.
I'm to understand that, yes, this is the point of the spear.
Yes. So we just wanted to let everyone know that some maintenance we've been putting off for a very long time has finally caught up with us. And on Monday, May 15th, which is this coming Monday, we are going to have to do some scheduled maintenance to some of our very important game servers, which means that for about 5 to 7 hours, I think we've scheduled.
Hopefully a little less, but yeah.
Hopefully a little less.
Yep.
People will not be able to log in or play the game. We will be putting the game into maintenance mode for, I think, one of the first times in the game's 6-year history. So we will be doing, during that time, we'll be doing a 7-hour Twitch stream. Not Dave and I specifically. I think do we have a stream during that time?
I have no idea.
I don't think so.
They can hop over to us and see us watching a progress bar. Yeah.
But I know there's some pretty good coverage. I know Dupuy's going to come on and spoil some stuff with Mars. So it's kind of like he was going over it with me yesterday. It's kind of like Nintendo Direct. We're going to be doing the Idle Champions version of Nintendo Direct, except during Nintendo Direct you can't play with your Switch, and Zelda just came out. So it's kind of like that, but better, worse. Anyway, so yeah. So that will be happening next Monday, starting at 12 p.m. Pacific time, and I think there's going to be some very cool streams and stuff during that time. So hopefully it won't be too bad.
Right.
That the game is down.
And I can see there was some questions, sort of like how that affects things like trial expiration times. We do have there will be some items that are given out as sort of a make good for this after it's done, but I don't have those listed off here. I'm not sure if we have a final list on that yet, but
I don't think we have a final list. There might be some details in the blog. I'm not sure.
Yeah, but there will definitely be some in-game items handed out as compensation for the loss of playtime. So
yes, so please don't panic, okay? And also type that code into the game to get an Electrum chest.
All right.
Let's move on to the more exciting announcement. I'm excited about this one.
Yeah, this is a fun one. This is one I mentioned a few times in the last couple of weeks, something that I know Mark has been diligently working on. And this is the ability to open more chests at a time, sort of major performance improvements on the back-end code for that, which then actually led to having to do some improvements on the front-end code for showing the cards because they got to a really extreme amount. So I do have a short clip that I think you're going to enjoy if you have a hoard of chests that you are slowly been chipping through or just been avoiding, because I know it's a question that comes up fairly frequently on the show. So I'm just going to hop over to that and we'll show a little preview of this. This, of course, is the old slider, and boom.
We'll be looking the other way. Whoa.
No. Oh, no. 203.
Whoa.
Yep. So this is definitely something that players have been asking for some time now. And let's see, when he clicks the button, this was a video Mark shared with me yesterday. So we get to come on, open the chests.
No, I don't think he actually opens the chests in this video.
You think he just shows the slider and doesn't open the chest?
Just showing off the slider.
Oh, is that the case? Did I grab the... Oh. Well, anyway, I guess it's incredible. Just a teaser. Just hop back to that. I actually thought he showed the chest in that, but I didn't watch all the way through. The improvements that Mark managed to get were about a 10 times of a performance improvement, both on the front end and the back end, so that we can actually have more chests open at a time. So yeah, I'm not exactly sure on when that's going to hit release on everything. I think that's basically ready to go. I know Mark was just finishing up the console UI version of that just before the show. So very shortly, that's going to be available. So yeah, let's move on. Let's tackle the leftover questions we had from the prior show. The first question that looks like you pulled forward here, Justin, is from Gray Garius. And they would like to know, when creating a new Modron core, is this done manually, or do you use in-house tools or programs for creation? I don't know about others, but I'd be interested in seeing the creation process on a future stream.
Sure. And first off, holy crap, Sailnet, thank you for gifting 10 subs to the community. That's awesome. So yes, I highlighted this question because I thought it was a really cool kind of like actual like how we dev the game question, which I always love to answer. And the answer is that when we're designing a new Modron core, generally we start out in a Google drawing in a Google Doc that I have that has all the kind of pieces in it, and I start laying it out in there. And sort of figure out what kind of general shape we're going to have with it, and what kind of where the outputs are going to be, and how it's going to unlock as you level it up. And oh, here come more gift subs. Woo, hype train. Woot woot.
Oh my.
So
Dylan got one.
Hey, congratulations, CNE Dylan, on getting some subs. Or a sub. So yeah, we started in that sort of Google. Basically, it's like the tech equivalent of a whiteboard, and then we do have an in-house tool for actually putting in the data for them, or at least we do now. Initially, we were just putting in the data for them manually, and that was quite a tedious process to look up all the kind of static piece IDs and get that in.
It's probably how that node got missed.
It is exactly how that node got missed in the strong core. And now we've got an actual little tool that we've created, a little web app that we use for actually putting in the data. So it makes the whole process, the whole process to put the core into data used to take, I don't know, a couple of hours, and now takes just a couple of minutes. So that's quite a bit nicer. Though it took us a couple of hours to make the tool, so we'll break even at around Modron Core 8 or 9 probably.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. The next question here is for you, Dave. It's from Caesarian. And this is a common question that we often see this in tickets or emails, but I thought it'd be good to address it on stream. I think we have before, but always good to address it every once in a while. They say, question, I accidentally opened a Unity engine debug screen recently. Is that a hidden functionality I was not aware of, or should I open a ticket?
Yeah, so that is, that's, I guess, what's the best way to describe that? So there is a screen that you can bring up if you click and hold the mouse cursor, or hold the mouse button down and make 4 circles. And this brings up it's actually, it's not a Unity engine screen per se. It's actually a third-party plugin that reads what would have been console output that you'd see in the debugger, and it puts it into the live game. And this is actually, we've used this at times if we needed to get information about exceptions from players, if there had been something that was paused or blocking the game that had already been deployed, and we couldn't look at their exception log or that sort of thing. So it's there as sort of a secondary tool that we can ask, like, hey, if you do this thing, and what does the log say there, so we can take a look at it. But it is supposed to be there. People do occasionally accidentally bring it up by clicking and holding the mouse button down and making a circle 4 times. If that happens, you can just close it. It's supposed to be there. There's nothing in there that's there's nothing in there that's secret or of really mostly of any interest beyond maybe debugging something if an error had been thrown. So yeah. So if you see that, don't worry about it. Just close it. Yeah.
We got a hype train going in chat. Choo choo.
Nice.
I don't know what a hype train is.
It's only at 6%. I don't know what it is either. Sorry.
I don't know what it is, but I think that 6% should be higher.
That's true.
Yeah. I think folks should sub, gift, or use bits to get to the next level. Let's do it.
I don't know how to do it.
Common Fragger knows how to do it. They did it. We're now at 23%. Choo choo. I don't think we've ever had one of these on our show. Like 81 episodes. No. Anyway, let's move on to some questions from this week. I have highlighted a couple.
All right. In that case, first question of the day And actually, before we dig into that, Justin, I know sort of the question that you've jumped over there. Did we want to say, I know you mentioned the week before, of course, about the upcoming changes to Trials of Mount Tiamat.
Yeah, sure. So the first question here from Library of Akasha that I did not highlight because it's not super relevant to kind of what Dave's alluding to, but I can speak to. It's basically about the timers for time gate pieces in Trials of Mount Tiamat. And one thing I will say that I have said in a couple of episodes before, we are planning some fairly major revisions to Trials of Mount Tiamat. So I am generally avoiding questions on Trial of Mount Tiamat when I'm looking through for questions to answer because of the fact that whole system is going to see some very large changes in the future. We were trying to figure out where those are going to fit onto the dev schedule yesterday in a design meeting, and it might be a little bit longer than I would hope, but hopefully by the end of the year we'll be able to get that system update out. At which point, a lot of these Trials of Mount Tiamat issues that folks have will just go away because it's going to be a very different system.
Okay. Next, or rather, first question of the day. This is from Niskus. Good day. Is the balloon flying cat from the Take This promotion a familiar? Sorry, for the moment I started reading that, there was actually a balloon flying cat. Anyway, is the balloon flying cat from the Take This promotion a familiar for Idle Champions? If it is not, can it come to Idle Champions too, please?
Yeah, so I believe that is just a Bushwhacker 2 pet. I think it's the Balloon Kitty from Bushwhacker 2, which is actually, if you haven't seen it, it's a cat that is tied to a helium balloon and just kind of floats around and wags its paws in the air. It's very cute. I think it was actually like a promotion pet that we did like years and years ago, like 8 or 9 years ago in Bushwhacker. And I mean, we can pass on that request to have a flying balloon kitty come as a familiar. That sounds like if the people demand it.
Bushwhacker has so many pets.
Oh my gosh, yeah. And the artist on that, Georgia, she does an incredible job with those pets and mounts in that game.
Yeah, they are
if you're looking
super
for something
cute
else to pass the time, Bushwhacker 2 is actually a very fun game. It's got a bit of a legacy kind of energy system, so you only play for a little bit per day, but it's fun.
Yeah. All right. Next question. This is from Randram. And this question is Token 9 Jump question of the week.
Yeah,
needs a little explanation.
So this is about Briv. Every week we get a bunch of questions. So this week we're not getting too many of them, which is nice because I think we kind of answered it fairly definitively last week. So Briv's got an ability that allows you to jump over areas if it procs. If you get that percentage up high enough, you can jump over multiple areas. And sort of the big end game goal for a lot of players is to get them to be able to jump over 9 areas at a time, so that you can just gem farm to your heart's content. And there's basically been a running question of whether or not we're going to cap jumping at 9 areas or let it go above and beyond that, and how we would go about capping it. And last episode, I believe my sort of final determination was that we would be aiming for capping jumping at 9 areas with the maxed out gear and feats and equipment and whatnot. So that is still the plan, but we have not made any movement on that. But I think we can probably move that up the priority list because it actually shouldn't be too much effort to do.
Okay. Moving on. Next question. This one is from the Library of Akasha asking, Mega Ultimate Silver Gold chests will have higher shiny drop rates, right? Assuming you're making it so the loot that comes out of Mega Ultimate chests are compressed. If a regular silver chest drops tiny, small, or medium bounty contracts, and the Mega Ultimate Silver chest will drop small, medium, and large bounty contracts, are at the correct compression/conversion rate?
So this is the first question of the day about mega chests, and I figure it's a good opportunity to state that based on the video that Dave showed earlier, with the ability to open up to 1,000 chests at once, applying to both silver and gold chests, we're putting the mega chests kind of on pause for a bit because we're not necessarily sure that they'll be as necessary with the ability to open sort of 20 times as many chests at once. And of course, we'll monitor how that goes when that stuff rolls out and how that affects the server load and how it affects sort of player behavior around chests and whatnot. But we're really hoping that by letting you open a whole bunch more chests at once and giving you legitimately the stuff that came from those chests rather than kind of averaging it out as we would do in a mega chest kind of system, then hopefully we won't necessarily need to spend the time to do the mega system.
Yeah. Fingers crossed that this takes us quite a bit of the way there. So
yeah. The next question is from OG17, and this is a question about Dave's favorite thing in the world.
What?
The Legendary Forge filtering and sorting system. So it's from OG17, and they ask, can the new Legendary, etc. character sorting system allow primary sorting by character slot and then date? It's how characters are presented on the bench and in collections, and feels like a given.
Didn't we change that based on character sorting the date? I mean, I can take...
I don't know that we did it by bench slot first. I think we just did it by...
ID. Character ID.
Character ID.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's certainly not necessarily my favorite topic. It's Nick Wilson's favorite topic because he's the one who's been making all of those great changes. I've just been acting as the go-between. I can take that to him and see how he. I'm sure he'll be happy to make those changes. Actually, I think he's been working on a lot of the UI stuff for some time now, and I think he's finally getting to work on his first champion right now. So we'll see if he's got time to look at that. But okay. Next question. This is a question also from Library of Akasha. It says, please mark free Timegate champions that are retired with a clearly visible retired mark. Is that like a question mark? Anyway, I accidentally used my free Timegate on a non-retired champion because I wasn't paying attention.
I think that's a good idea. It feels like they should definitely be called out in some way in the time gates as like, you can't obtain this from events anymore, so this is the only place you can get it. So get it while you can. Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Okay, little tired champion marker.
Yeah, some sort of like a question mark, but with like gray hair and going off on a cruise. I don't know.
I was just saying it was a tired champion. I don't know what it means to
be retired.
Next question. This one is also from Library of Akasha, asking, how goes making Electrum chests target missing commons, uncommons, and rare? I heard it was low on the priority list.
You heard correctly. Yes, it is low on the priority list. Probably should have been something that Mark looked at while he was looking at the chest opening code, and maybe he's still kind of aware enough of it that we can give that to him and he can hack that in pretty quickly. Okay. One thing I will say about that, I guess that's kind of adjacent to that, is the reason that people are asking for this, I guess for a little bit more context, is because we've got on sort of the non-gamepad UI, we've got the collections dialog, which shows you all of the champions you have unlocked and all of the equipment for them, including the equipment that is less common or less rare than the stuff that you have, so you can actually see the common, uncommon, rare, and epic equipment on that page. And because of the way the chest system works, once you've got an item of a higher rarity, we don't the chests will not try to fill slots with a lower rarity right now. So it's possible to kind of go for a very, very long time without just randomly getting that one in whatever chance to get the common piece of equipment for a champion. Then you have a little empty slot there because you've never gotten the common piece of equipment. So people are looking to fill that in, and that's why Library of Akasha is asking about this.
Okay. Next question. This one is from OG17. Asking, seasons have had a bunch of, quote, kill the end boss, quote, quests, which are a pain whenever this happens to be a set piece boss that doesn't respawn and instead requires changing areas. Could this not be a thing?
Yeah, no, that's a very good call out, and it is something that design will take into account for future seasons and make sure that we're not having you kill the Elder Brain over and over, even though you can only do it once per area.
What are the kind of numbers that have been going on those in terms of how many kills for the end boss?
What do we do for those ones? Do we like 100? Do we maybe do 1,000?
Oh my! If it was 1,000, that would just be untenable.
Yeah, no, it's definitely something that that would be super annoying. 1e to the 20.
No, Sam, I think it's 100.
It's 100.
100 isn't the end of the world, but
it's not too bad. But definitely, I mean, the intention with those was, if you want to just you'll get it as you sort of play through the event, or if you want to just sit there and farm it. If it's a boss that respawns, then it should only take a few minutes with a speed potion going. But definitely on those ones where it's just where like the Elder Brain or the Kraken or something like that, then it definitely becomes a little bit more annoying.
Yeah, kill the monster, go back an area, kill the monster, go back an area, kill the monster.
Yeah. But again, the intention was sort of, if you just kind of play the event normally and say you're getting to area 500 every time, you get 10 kills per time, and so 10 free plays, you'll get your 100 kills kind of thing. But yeah.
Right, okay. All right, here's a good question, Justin. You want to ask that? I know you want to ask that.
This question is from the lurking writer, who asks a silly, in brackets, question, for after all the more important ones have been asked. So every question after this is apparently not important. Based on the episode title, do you know where your towels are?
It's a really interesting question because that is one of our core values. Don't panic.
It is.
And we do have a towel here somewhere that is specifically our Don't Panic towel. But I don't know where it is.
I think it got cleaned up in the big office cleanup of 2022.
Yes.
And so now it's hiding in a box somewhere.
Yes, it's entirely possible that it's gone. It could be in a box. It could have been in the list of things that just was like, I think Elisa was asking us, do you really need this? Really?
We need every single piece of junk that we have in this office, or that office, I guess. I'm pretending that I'm there.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of junk in here. We needed the space, but nevertheless, a lot of things walked. So
yes.
But I think the towel is still here. I think the towel's still here somewhere, but I don't know where it is. So
for folks, I know there's a couple of people in chat who are like, "What the heck are they talking about?" It's a reference to Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, an old book from back when I was young.
It's not Mr. Towley from South Park. Don't forget to bring your towel.
It's not Mr. Towley from South Park. Even that is an old reference, though. Like, we are just filled with old references.
They're old memes, but they check out.
That's an old reference too. It's 1983.
Family Guy Star Wars? That's not that old.
Well, no, sure, but the thing it's based on. Anyway, the next question here is from Library of Akasha. As Gabe tries to tell us that there's a giveaway coming, we're just going to skip over that. Library of Akasha asks, thoughts on a web captioner? Would really like you to use it on Dev Insights, even though it isn't great when there's more than one person.
Yeah, so the question here actually, so I would back up one layer and ask, if you're looking for captions, we do have captions that are streamed out with our stream.
We did too.
Oh, we do. I can see them right here going out. They're not. We don't put them on the image, sort of as baked into the graphics, but they are in the Twitch stream, and you can turn them on inside of Twitch. I don't know what the option here is. Let's see if I was to
click the CC button.
Sure, I click over here and I get an ad for ad fill.
Disappearing.
Anyway, you can click the CC button and then you can place them over the screen. You can set the size and the font, so anything that works for you. I find that that's preferable to having them baked into the screen or baked into the video, which doesn't give you any control over them and takes up a bunch of space on the video. But so there's an option if you want it, and we've got it on every episode. So if that's what you're looking for, it's there. If you're looking for specifically baked in captions, I'm not 100% sure what the reasoning behind that request is, but I'm happy to hear it. Okay, next question. This one is from Rough Rider, 1995, which may or may not be a birthday. Will the Alchemy Shop allow us to trade down 1 hour speed potions to something more usable, like 15-minute speed potions?
Yes. So the current design is yes. That would be something that we would allow in there. With that said, the Alchemy Shop has not been the design for it hasn't been finalized, and I know there's a lot of discussion going on internally about sort of how we would put that together in a way that would be good for the long-term life of the game. And we'll have to kind of see where that shakes out once it is in place.
Okay. Next question, also from Rough Rider 1995. Since Pigment's Act... Oh, come on, Justin, move your cursor. I can't read it with the... This is so terrible. The question is, since Pigments act more like legendaries than golden epics that increase a champ's ability, can Pigment be included in the legendary dismantle instead of full dismantle?
Yeah, it's a good question. Right now the plan is just to include them in the full dismantle and not the legendary dismantle. I've heard the arguments both ways, but for now we're just going to keep them in the full dismantle.
All right. Looks like they're starting the giveaway, Justin.
It looks like after struggling to tell us that there's a giveaway, that we are starting the giveaway. So
panic now.
If you're in chat right now, go into chat and type "panic now," which I kind of read as "panic cow" when I first saw it. But write "panic now," all one word, all lowercase, and you will be entered for a chance to panic now and also win 42 chests of your choice. It can be any type of chest in the game. If you happen to win, you can pick it. If you win, basically we'll message you, we'll say, what kind of chest do you want? And you'll say, I would like Modron component chests, and the moderator will say, okay, we will add 42 Modron component chests to your account. So I did not explain that as well as I normally did, but just type panic now into chat, and if you win, then they'll tell you what to do. You get chests. It's good.
What? Oh, there it is.
Silver Rosy chests or Riot. Super Fluffy Kitty wants a bunch of Silver Rosy chests. Bahamut chests are still not allowed. Yeah, no, sorry. I forgot about that.
And there's a reason for that? Or they're just grandfathered in as not allowed?
Their grandfathered in is not allowed, but the Trials changes will actually be getting rid of them anyway, so...
spoilers.
Yes, it's not something we want to put a lot more of into the game prior to that. Not that 42 going into the game once a week would be a lot, but yes.
Oh my.
Anyway, Panic Cow.
All right.
Let's move on to the next question. This one is panic now only if you don't have any panko breadcrumbs. Okay, well I don't have to panic then. On this episode of Justin Talks About What's in His Pantry. Anyway, next question is from Emote, and they ask, any progress on stopping the randomized order of ads every area change?
No, there's no progress on that. I mentioned it to, I think, Peter or Chris, and they're like, oh yeah, that's still happening. And then I think that was the last of it. We'll tag that to get it looked at and actually solved.
But someone will look at it.
Yeah. It should have been in that long list of the 20 plus fixes that got done last week. So, okay.
Next question. Cassius335 asks, will the 7-hour stream simulcast to YouTube?
I don't think that's a thing that we've set up. Have we done any live streaming on YouTube? I don't think we do.
I don't think so. I think we've done obviously to Twitch here. I think we've also streamed to our Steam store page.
Yep.
I don't know if we've streamed to YouTube before.
Yeah, I don't think that's the case, but I could be wrong.
I'm sure we did at some point, and then there was some reason we stopped. Probably something to do with like the way that Restream handles this kind of stuff or something.
Yeah.
I don't know the specifics.
And I know there are some, like, I want to say there's some restrictions for Twitch partners about streaming on both at the same time.
Oh, maybe.
I don't recall the details, but I feel like there's a restriction there, but I can't remember what the details are. But anyway.
That's a great question for the next episode of Marketing Insights. We'll start at some point.
We'll suggest it to Dylan.
So the next question here is from Garwar, who asks smartly, will there be some kind of notification for players who don't watch streams or interact online?
Yeah, that is it's a good catch.
Who's not watching this stream?
What we plan to do is put an actual notification in the game when you go to connect. It's kind of funny actually. One of the things that Justin mentioned earlier was that we haven't put the game into what we call maintenance mode in its lifetime. Maintenance mode is a mode we've used in our other games when you need to do maintenance of all things, and typically that involved a message in the game that let you know what was going on and sort of how long you would need to expect for things to be down. And when we went to test this for Champions, we found that in fact the client side portion, the portion that would show the message, had never been implemented in Champions because we had never in fact used maintenance mode. That said, the build that went out today on a lot of platforms, and will hopefully be out on every platform by Monday, does have maintenance mode in it. And when you connect, it's actually going to pop up a notification that lets players know what's happening and provides a button and a link to go view the Twitch channel. So hopefully that all goes smoothly and they can be linked from the maintenance mode message to the channel.
Yeah, I think prior to it going down, I think we're going to have an in-game news post that will explain what's going on and link to the blog as well. And I think that's going live tomorrow morning. So hopefully folks will read that and not just close the news, though, if they're anything like me. When I load up a game and see a pop-up that I see every time I load, the first thing I do is close it without reading it. So
yeah,
we can think of a couple other ways to
we were the first announcement point today, and then there will be in every other channel we've got will be announcing that there'll be maintenance mode starting as of probably right after the show. So not the maintenance mode, but the announcements. All right.
Somebody is asking in chat why the background picture is mirrored between us, and it's because it's not mirrored. We're just in the same room. That's the same table. And if I put my finger over far enough, it'll come out on Dave's screen. I can't get it over that far.
I don't think it's working.
But he's over there. He's right there. Anyway, let's see. So the next question is from Safety Goth, who asks, I don't think Safety Goth has ever asked us a question because that name looks new to me. Thank you for your question, Safety Goth. They ask, more feat slots can mean more hot swapping feats during a run. Can you comment on whether feat loadouts are on the backlog?
Yeah, so one of the items that I've mentioned now over and over and over again because we haven't gotten to it, and it's at the top of my list. It's literally at the top of the list here in my Dev Insights in progress items, which is the prioritized of saving feats with formations, is on the list. It is something that hasn't been looked at yet. I can see that obviously there's an increased need for it at this point. I know there was I've brought it up with Peter a couple of times now, and there was some concern around sort of how the display of it, like how it's actually showing which feats are saved. So I know that was sort of the point at which we'd left it, but it is something we intend to get done, because it's certainly of more value at this point.
Okay. Cool. Next question here is from the Lurking Writer, who asks, with the new chest slider that is being previewed at the time of writing, any chance of an option to manually enter a specific number like we can in the Modron automation dialog?
Manually
if I
entering
really
the
want to
values.
open, if I've got 60,000 chests and I really want to open 739 of them.
Yeah, I honestly, I feel like that is of limited value. Sort of, when you're opening large numbers like that, you're definitely opening them in bulk. If you really wanted to open 739, you could do 700 and then come back and do 39 on the other slider. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not convinced that that's a super valuable feature to have in there. I don't know. Justin, your thoughts?
It does feel like it's kind of not really worth the time of putting in, and I if we were just going, out on Steam, then maybe I would think a little differently, because like just going out on Steam, we're pretty sure that most people playing on Steam have a keyboard, whereas putting something like that in, we're then kind of obligated to also implement it for consoles which do not have a keyboard, and inputting manual things like that is actually really annoying on consoles. Not to mention getting it to work, properly with the mobile keyboard and that sort of stuff. So it's one of those things where it's probably not worth the time for such kind of a niche usage.
Yeah, my feeling as well. Yeah. Okay, next question is from Rough Rider 1995. Can you clearly define the time gate buckets and discuss changes in the works so they aren't heavily weighted towards the year 3 to 6 champions in one bucket?
Yeah, so this is a good question. I'm just making a personal note here to discuss this in design. But yeah, so currently the way that the time gates work is all the year 1 champions are in one bucket, all the year 2 champions are in another bucket, and then every other champion in the game that is available through time gates is in the last bucket. And the reason for that is because we haven't really thought about time gate buckets since year 3 events were rolled out. But we might have thought about them when year 4 events were rolled out and thought that it would be fine to do that. And so the buckets, the way that the buckets are used is when we open a free time gate, we will always pick a champion from each bucket, potentially picking a champion you don't have from that bucket. So it's basically just a way to group together the champions for the purpose of opening those free time gates. And I think that we probably need to think about this again. I think we have talked about it on Dev Insights before, and that we need to kind of expand that out. One thought we had was just increasing the number of buckets, and thus the number of sort of free time gate champions offered on free time gate weekends, so that we could have 4 or 5 groups, and then we could maybe bucket together year 1 and 2 champions, and 3 and 4 champions, and then 5, 6, and then current year champions. With that said, that's probably not a great solution that will work moving forward, because in 4 years from now we'll then have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 all in the same bucket. So I think at some point we have to kind of try and find a way to get that system to a point where we don't really have to touch it in the future. So that is kind of where it's at right now.
Okay.
Run out of highlighted questions.
How did that happen?
How are you not highlighting questions while I was answering that one? Let's see here. Let's go find some more questions to answer. Here, I'll ask you this one.
Right.
So this question here is from T5Cats, who says, when changing areas on the PC, we can hold shift and go to the start or the end. Basically, if you hold, this is kind of a secret in the game where you can hold shift and click on the arrow and it'll take you all the way to area 1 or all the way to your max level. And they say otherwise it's 5 levels at a time. Could we get a 50 level option? Trying to get Briv's Bones at zone 500 is tedious when you're already in zone 1200. So I think what they're basically asking for is a way to get to a specific level.
Right. So this is where we should be able to click and then type in a number.
Right.
Have a type in box.
This is a case where it may actually kind of make sense because the use case is a lot more compelling than being able to open a prime number of quests.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good question. Obviously, it's 5 levels at a time. Yeah, it's a pretty long number of clicks to get forward 500. I suppose another hotkey, I see that's kind of what they're suggesting in the chat. You could control click, maybe go 5 at a time. Yeah, I mean, we could think about something like that. I mean, it would be easy enough to add another hotkey, at least so if you're playing on a PC or something with a keyboard that you can do that. Still adding that option to go large numbers back and forth on other devices is something that we haven't addressed. It's actually in the list of the items that I've been addressing at the top of the show for doing that on mobile, because obviously it's a little challenging on mobile if you don't have a keyboard. It could very well be something that would benefit from having, a pop-out dialogue with options to quickly go back and forth or something, just sort of like an extra, one of those little, what do they call them? Like a hamburger dialogue, a hamburger button. You click the hamburger icon and get some additional options like jumping to a specific area, or maybe a place to type something in, or return to 1 or return to Mm-hmm. I think that could be worth considering. Just sort of more of a Swiss Army knife of options there, especially if in addition to needing to go to your highest level or back to area 0, being to go to a specific high level. Yeah, I'll tag that.
There's a couple of questions down here that I just want to one that I want to get to before we accidentally run out of time if I talk a lot about the ones before. But there's one here from Crazy Matt Captain who says, mostly to clarify, will the maintenance time on Monday start at the end of before the end of the event, or well after the event, such as not to affect those doing runs at the end of the event?
Right. So the answer to that one is the intention is neither. The intention is it should start just as the event comes to an end. So we'll be starting just after noon PST. Are we in PST or in BSD now?
We are in PDT. Yes.
Well, whatever time zone we're in, daylight time, it'll be noon daylight time is when it'll approximately start. We probably won't end up hitting the button right at noon. It'll probably be shortly thereafter, just because I know we'll be busy getting all of our ducks in a row at that point. But the intention is to let everything finish for noon, and then really not let anyone sort of dig into getting started into something new at that point.
The idea is that we don't want players to kind of be halfway through like a patron challenges or daily quests or whatnot when we shut it down, so that hopefully folks won't be too impacted for that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and definitely the sort of a note worth sharing is that this was picking a time to make this work was something that was definitely there was no good time. This was sort of the best time that wasn't in the middle of something, or at the beginning or end of an event, or a rollout on a Wednesday, or with the season coming to an end in the next 2 weeks. Again, we wouldn't want to end right at the end of the season. That would be really awful. So there was really finding a good time was difficult, and I would not argue that there is a good time, but this was the best time that we could find, given the sort of the balance of all interests. With hopefully the least interruption of playtime and events that we could work out. So, all right.
Cool. Let's zip back up. I've highlighted a few questions.
Cool. And this next question,
exciting, good ones,
is from the Lurking Writer, asking: some of the speed champions have capped eye levels for their items that affect their speed mechanic. What thoughts do you have on all of them having relevant caps? Whittle, for example, has a functional cap based on animation speed / device CPU speed and would probably benefit from this consideration.
Yeah, so this is a really good question. The short answer to this is if I could go back in time, they would definitely all have caps. I think uncapped speed mechanics are just a bad idea. It's why we had to go and put a cap on Human, for better or for worse, and it's why we are looking at putting a cap on Briv. If we had had our druthers, we probably would have put a lower level cap on him, but the cat's out of the bag on that one at this point. So I think moving forward, we'll probably strongly consider caps on all speed items, as long as it makes sense. Some of them, like you say, have sort of a functional cap, which we should still probably make sure that we are replicating in an item level cap, and others just kind of have diminishing returns. I think ideally, if we were really good designers, we would design everything with really strong diminishing returns, such that you could you put in 10,000 item levels, you get up to X, and you put in 100,000 to get up to 2X, and 1,000,000 to get up to 3X, and then it just becomes kind of there's just a point of how far you want to push with that, but you don't get a lot of a benefit of super duper going really, really high on that. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff I think we would do differently with speed items if we remade the game from scratch and had all the information and knowledge that we have now.
Definitely. You'd make a few whittle changes.
A couple whittle changes, yes.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dad.
All right, next question. This is also from the Lurking Writer. Will the hypothetical / potential alchemy system include time gate pieces as well as potions? I have approximately 1,000. I'm likely never going to use otherwise. Yeah,
that's a good question. 1,000 is a lot. I thought I had a lot, and I don't think I have nearly 1,000. But yeah, we're probably not going to put a way to trade around. Trade around time gate pieces in the alchemy system. Thematically, I don't think it necessarily makes sense. But we have, from time to time, discussed internally what kind of things we can do with time gate pieces. I think we've even maybe mentioned on stream a couple of times with maybe the option to just straight up buy chests at a reduced rate with those. So if you do a normal run for 6 time gate pieces, you can get 3 gold chests and a large number of silver chests. Maybe we would let you just buy gold chests for those champions, at a higher rate. So you'd be better off to sort of spend the time and get the gold chests. But if you don't want to do that, then you could just buy the chests straight up at a lower rate. So that's kind of what we were thinking with time gate pieces, but there's nothing kind of clearly on the roadmap for that at this point. I feel like I'm sinking lower and lower as I say that. There we go.
That's good.
I'm taller again.
There we go. Just sort of.
Whoa! What are you? No! Con! I don't know why I yell con while I'm sinking into a mud pit. Black tar monster.
Yeah, I don't know if it got copied in. It reminds me that there was someone asking, based on the tavern there, if that means if we're in the same room, does that mean I'm 1.5 times larger than you are? I don't think it got copied into the doc, though.
I want to maintain a friendship with Dave, so I'm not going to say anything.
Shame. All right, next question. This is from Hero Pro, and here they would like to know, have you ever considered sharing player population stats or leaderboards? I think achievements and endgame progress would be more interesting if we could see each other's progress.
Yeah, so yes and no. This is a really interesting question.
Yeah.
So we've talked for a while, kind of early on in the game, about the idea of leaderboards and sort of more competitive aspects. And it was something that we really were avoiding in the game for a very long time. We didn't really want to put any kind of competitive aspects for numerous reasons. It didn't really fit with kind of the game that we built, and you kind of inherently, when you start to put in competitive aspects and leaderboards and things like that, you start to lean your game more towards a kind of pay to win than we were really comfortable doing with the game. So that's one of the reasons we kind of were avoiding that for a while, and we still are. To be fair, still are avoiding that. But with that said, being able to show off the stuff that you have and show off, skins and equipment and all the item levels you've obtained and that sort of stuff is something that can be, as you say, it can make the end game progression more interesting. And so it is something that we are taking into consideration with our Trials Mount Tiamat rework. We're looking for ways to be able to, say an example would be if in the current Trials of Mount Tiamat, if you could go and view your other Trials participants' formations and see what their champions look like and what equipment they have and how they're arranging them, so that you could potentially pull some of those strategies into your own game or stuff like that, or be able to see the cool skins they have. Also, could be a way to be able to show off all the cool skins that you have earned or purchased or whatnot. So I think there are definitely some things we can do there, but it's not something we've historically done in the game for the reasons I've kind of touched on, and I'm sure Dave, you have some other thoughts on that as well.
Yeah. I mean, my first thought when we discussed this initially, and it is something that we've done in previous games. We did that in pretty much every one of our previous games, except maybe Crusaders.
Except for Crusaders,
had a leaderboard of some type or multiples. And the biggest problems that we ran into with those was that, if any kind of exploit that someone would figure out would lead it to a case where, you can't necessarily, like, someone would shoot up in the leaderboards and be like, oh, they're a cheater. And then we'd have to go figure out what they were doing and then sort of tear that down and figure out how to make them legitimate, how to make sure that, and then there are cases where people were legitimate and players in the community were saying, no, they're cheating. And it creates this sort of additional drama that it was something that we weren't looking forward to dealing with. And then in Champions in particular, because it is it's primarily a single player game, there are certain things, and I think people know this at this point, that are client side trusted, which means that there are certain elements that you can, if you edit the memory, you can cheat at, which, as sort of our position on, is you're ruining your own experience. But when it comes to if it comes to a multiplayer portion and it's on a leaderboard, then it's ruining everyone's experience for that. And so, without having a perfect solution for those particular features, it means that it's really hard to do any kind of leaderboards that can be sort of reliably looked at. And I think we ran into other issues too, which was that leaderboards also tended to skew towards players who'd played the longest. Mm-hmm. And then when we had really long run, it was a really long running game, we'd have players who'd been with us for a really long time, and they'd just be at the top permanently.
So the Bushwhacker 2 leaderboards are permanently stuck the way they are and will never change.
And so, I mean, there are some sort of creative solutions around that and resetting seasonally and all that sort of fun stuff, but it's a big bag of worms. So can of worms. Worms come in cans, not worms.
It's one of them.
The jar,
the never-ending sack. What the heck's it called?
Bag of monkey? I don't know. I have no.
Bag of holding. It's a bag of holding of worms.
Unfortunately, we don't have a bag of holding of time, so I think we're done for today.
All right. We have one really good question that I'm going to pull forward for next week's episode. But if we didn't get to your question this week, don't worry. You will have another opportunity. We will be live again at this same time next week. Before we sign off, though. Right? We will, I think. Yeah. We didn't announce that we won't be, so we definitely will. Unless one of us is sick. Before we sign off, though, we'd like to thank our tireless mods. This week it was Jordan and Gabe. They're the two folks who copy your questions into our questions doc and help to make chat awesome. So thanks to both of you. And of course, thanks to all of you for hanging out, asking such great questions, watching the stream, enjoying the game. Without all of that, no one here would get to do what we do. And we like what we do. All right. Enjoy the rest of your day, everyone. So I ordered a chicken and an egg online. Oh, which came first? I'll let you know.